Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Hunter Tuned. We're out in the old junkyard, walking around, getting my daily cardio in. And yeah, we're looking for an oil cooler delete plate majiggy bobber off of a 5.3 or a 4.8. Because I need one so I can run my oil feed line on my turbo for my Mustang. That's not a 4.8.
I know.
That right there, sir, is a D16 Y7.
Yeah, junk.
Throw that shit and thing in the garbage. We should have brought a sledgehammer out here.
Shut up.
Goddamn fucking junk. Now that's a nice car. I tell you what. Look at this thing. Junk. Oh, bro, you want to crack a sleeve? Here's a P20. Sorry if there's wind noise. I can't help the Mother Nature. Oh, there's some really nice parts out here, man. Look at that radiator. Want some bacon?
Oh my god. Wow.
That sucks.
First time I've ever seen that.
Oh, here we go. Here's a Savannah. Savannah, oh na na. Has this one got an engine? Yep. I don't know if I can get in here or not. Oh yeah, that's not what we're looking for. I think that chick's singing the same song we are. Alright guys, so we just left the old boneyard. The old Wally's, you pull it. You gotta pull it. So we went out there and we pulled it. We got some, what are they? Oil cooler block off plate. So this right here. This guy.
Those bolts, I guess.
Yeah, fuck them. Where'd the other one go?
Right here.
Oh, okay. You got it?
Yeah.
Alright, so anyways, we got the oil cooler block off plate, and we're going to drill and tap that today to 1/8 inch pipe thread, and that will be our oil feed line for the Turbo Mustang. Like I said, I borrowed the one that was on the Mustang and I put it on my truck, so we had to go get another one. But truck's doing good. Chilling. I can't really get on it because I never put more than a quarter tank of gas in it because this thing's a pig. And I'm a tight ass. So, I mean, we give her about half throttle and then she cuts out because it sucks air in the fuel tank. Because, you know, she's just a big old tank.
Big old man.
Yeah. Yee yee. Yee yee yee. Yeah! So yeah, we're gonna run home and put some spark plugs in. Oh yeah, I picked up some BR7EFs. They were special order, you know, special order spark plugs. So had to wait on those to come in, but finally got the plugs, got the oil cooler block off, and we can get to wrenching. All right, guys. So we are back from the J yard, the scrap yard, whatever you want to call it, and we got the fitting from the side of the engine block by the oil filter, so we can make a oil feed line. So this is the finished product that I just made. This is just a 1/8 inch to -4 fitting that goes right into this block that I got from the junkyard. I have a normal one here that doesn't have that thing drilled out in it, and pretty much what you have to do is you just have to like the block here and drill through it with like a 1/8 inch tap size drill bit, and then take an 1/8 inch tap and just thread it in, and then thread your fitting in, and it's as simple as that. So kind of cool that it's super easy to do an oil feed line on these LS motors. But yeah, I'm gonna bolt this onto the engine, and then I'm going to install the oil feed line onto the turbo, because we ended up getting a lot of stuff done kind of off camera. We had the harness, the intake, everything, all that is bolted on. I got the turbo mounted. I don't have everything tightened down quite yet, but I have the V-bands all in place for the downpipe and the frickin' V-band on the turbo. and all this is still loose. I didn't completely clock it yet, but we got the return line ran off of the turbo down into the oil pan, which is, I just drilled that to 3/8 pipe thread as well. Ran a 3/8 pipe thread to barb fitting out to a piece of braided hose that I hose clamped. I've never had any issues doing it this way, so I continue to do it this way. So anyways, that's all good to go. Downpipes on. Going to move on to getting the oil feed line done, and then after that we're going to do some hose. We're going to try to get some clamps onto the radiator here and try to get the steam vent lines ran. We also got a fitting for the water pump there, so we can thread the steam vent line right into there. And then we got to put the intercooler on, put the tranny cooler on, and go get some fucking fuel. Alright, so fast forward a few hours, and we got the car ready to fire up almost. The turbo is mounted. We have the V-band here. This is the V-band 80mm VS Racing turbo with the 96 exhaust wheel. And it's all V-band, so it's super slick. Like V-band frickin' intercooler piping here that I have running down to my frickin' Chinese, I don't know, $50 intercooler. Are you running this one on your car, Christian? Or are you running the smaller one?
No.
I have the same one on my truck, and I've used the same one on pretty much all the ones I've built. Yeah, so hopefully it's enough for this kind of power. If anything, I might actually just get another one of these and weld another one onto it, so it's like a 6-inch core. I know guys actually do that, and it helps out quite a bit. So I may do that, but we got the radiator installed and all the hoses for the radiator. The upper and lower hose is pretty simple. I had this same setup on here before. Tranny cooler is just zip tied onto the radiator for now, and we got the coolant funnel on here, and this thing's been sitting here for a few hours and has not bubbled or dropped a frickin' millimeter. So I'm thinking that we got no coolant leaks, which is good. And I just put oil in it, and we just went and got some E85, so I put like 5 gallons of E85 in it. We turned the fuel pumps on to kind of check around and make sure there's no fuel leaks. There's no fuel leaks. We had 60 pounds of fuel pressure. We already went over a lot of this stuff, but the steam port I do have running off of the heads here. This goes from this head over, and then it comes over to the top here. And then I have another steam port into the water pump that goes to the back two steam ports on the back cylinder head. Yeah, coolant gauge hooked up here. We got transmission fluid in it. We just put a few quarts in it because I never drained it. I just kind of leaked a shitload out when we took it out. So we just put a few quarts back in it to make sure that it's like half-ass full. And then, yeah, so we also got a lot of the vacuum lines ran on the car. I got the blow-off valve vacuum running right to the left side of the LS1 intake. There's 2 ports right on the front of an LS1 intake. So we have the blow-off valve running to the left side, and then the right side fitting that is off the LS1 intake is going down to the wastegate down here. And then there's one more on the back side of the intake that's kind of a bitch to get to. It's right below the map sensor. So we got that line running over to the fuel pressure regulator, which is mounted over on the behind the strut there, and that is T'd, so the T part of it is going into the cabin to the boost gauge. So we literally have fucking everything hooked up. We got a lot done today, and we're gonna see if all this work is going to disappoint the shit out of me or if it's gonna work. I'm just gonna be cranking it. I'm gonna try to just crank it for a while, like probably 30 seconds or so, to try to maybe build a little bit of oil pressure. And then once I see a little bit of oil pressure come up on the gauge, I got to go get my laptop and see if we can try to get this gold box to talk to my computer. And if we can get it to talk, probably just going to grab a base tune off of the Sloppy Wiki page, because I know he's got a couple 210-pound injector tunes with a 3-bar map sensor. So probably just throw one of those maps on to see if it fires. And if it does, then we'll be all dogpile chicken smile.
Minto Pinto, as young Static would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally got everything hooked up. So we got the intercooler, everything is mounted. Piping is in. I got to get my other cooling fan mounted back on here because I had 2 fans on the front of this thing. And I'm going to have to wire these to the ECU so the ECU controls it and we're not running it to a switch and burning the switch out. Oh my god. So yeah, I'm going to relay the fans to the ECU control trigger wire. And then, yeah. That was creepy as fuck. So yeah, I'm just gonna go crank it. No fuel, no ECU, no nothing. I'm just gonna crank, and see if we can get a little bit of oil pressure built up in this hog. All right, so crawl up in here. Alright guys, so we're going to, we don't really need to power the gauges to see an oil pressure reading, so I'm just going to hit the starter button and crank. Ready?
Yeah. No leaks.
No leaking, okay. We got any oil coming up through that back clear line on the, you know, the oil pressure gauge hose?
Oh, yeah, here. Whoa, shit, sorry.
Can we see any oil coming up through there at all?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Nothing yet. A lot of the times, honestly, like when I do motors and stuff like that, if you try to crank them like this, there's so much shit that's got to get filled up. It takes quite a bit of RPM to get it to kind of, you know, jump up and make oil pressure. Like even when you first do an oil change, sometimes on some cars, like it'll sit at fucking 0 for like 3 seconds.
That's all.
While it's running, you know, and then it'll finally, you know, the pressure will bump up. I know my truck is like that, so. But we got this goddamn excess power battery. We could go all day on the starter, dude.
Oh, they're pretty great.
Nothing up through there yet?
No, not yet. I'll tell you when there is.
Ah, fuck it. I'm good. Alright, guys, so we are actually calling it a night for the night. We ended up trying to mess with the car a little bit. I didn't really film any of it because we were just trying to figure some stuff out. But we did get the Bosch, or I took a bass tune from the Sloppy Mechanics website, and I used the one from the Colorado, which is like a Bosch 210 injector, which is a little bit different from the Snake Eater 210s. But I figured, you know, it might be close enough to at least start the car. And we're getting like a weird clicking sound from the injectors, like whenever the car's cranking, it's clicking very loud at the injectors. And I don't know if it's just because that's just how these injectors are or what the deal is, but we did spray some brake cleaner down the brake booster hose, and the car fired up and ran for like a very split second. We still don't have oil coming up through the oil pressure gauge line, but like I said, I think it's just going to have to run for like a couple seconds for the oil pressure to actually feed up through there, because that oil pressure gauge is actually at the top of the block, so it takes quite a bit of revolutions and RPM to actually get the oil to flow up through the top of the motor all the way to the top and whatnot. So I'm hoping that'll be all right. I did not actually prime the oil pump at all, so I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue, but I don't think it will be. If anything, we might just have to add a little bit more oil to the system to kind of get it to suck up or whatever. Yeah, so I'm going to call it a night. Like I said, we tried to mess with it a little bit. I got the computer to talk to the gold box, so that's a plus. When I got my Megasquirt initially, the wires on the ECU were like wrong, so it wouldn't even communicate with my computer. So this thing's actually wired right, so that's a good sign. And I actually got to connect to it, and the map sensor and the TPS and all that stuff is like working. So we are getting somewhere. The car has super good spark. We tested spark and all that. So like I said, the injectors are just kind of clicking. They're clicking really loud and kind of like oddly. So I don't know if there's like battery offset voltages shit that I gotta mess with on the Mega Squirt, I don't know. So I'm going to kind of just do some research tonight and maybe get a few pointers from a few buddies and see if we can kind of figure out what I need to do for the tune to get it to run with these injectors and everything. So hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to at least start the car and let it run and do all this stuff. So I don't know, did a lot of work today though, got a lot of stuff done, pretty much ready to run car. Just have to finish it up. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to stay tuned. I'm gonna get right back at this tomorrow and hopefully we'll get it running and driving or something. So, also, I was debating on like putting a plexiglass windshield in the car temporarily just to go run it, because like I said, I'm on a really limited budget right now and I don't know if I can really afford to put a windshield in it currently. So I might just put like some cheap plexiglass windshield in it. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. You guys let me know. It'd be a temporary thing just to go race it, but yeah, I don't know. We could like self-tap it to the fucking frame of the window or something. I don't know. But anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. Nice, short, and sweet video, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And we will see you tomorrow.